I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Project Architect 2. So last episode, I made the Architron block, the thing that you see in my hand here. And today, this actually unlocks a huge part of the mod pack. Because what this essentially allows me to do is this block allows me to craft a very, very nice block. And that is the Transmutation Interface. And this allows any storage mod that can basically read a container's inventory to display, and that means RFTools, all those different things, the storage lectern, you can interface with this interface and have access to all of your items. And that means we can actually tie it directly in to our applied energistics system. Or any storage mod. We can even use this in the future for other like close quarter automations, which I kind of want to do. So with that being said, and without further ado, let's go ahead and craft this. Voila. We have ourselves a transmutation interface. Transmutation in your computers? Yes it is. And I am so excited for this. So just to sort of kind of demonstrate this in the best way possible, all I have to do is with our applied energistics system is make a storage bus. And this is really it. So we take our storage bus and we attach this directly to our system. So for example, if I want to place this here, which I'm going to come up with a much better place for it later on, but if I place this in, we can now see all of those individual items and we can see it's tied to me. So when I place this on here and I set this priority to 1, now any item I put in here is going to, if it has EMC, just be stored away with our EMC value. And it's also going to allow us to pull items out, and we won't have the restrictions that we have, for example, with these links having an import limit, for example, of 16. Like we won't have to have that anymore. And so that means I no longer need this setup or these buses. So we're good with that. We can get rid of these. Now I'm going to keep these for right now, but I do want to come up with a way better way of processing ores here in the future. So with that, we now can open our tablet and we can see all of our learned items, and they're going to say 2.1. They're basically representing max int, or the max 32-bit integer value. It's going to be a pretty common theme that you're going to see throughout this pack as well, which I just think it's a hilarious number and a hilarious limitation, kind of a limitation in some cases. For most of modded Minecraft, it's not really a limitation anymore, and there has been ways of getting around that goofy number. But now we have access to this, meaning any automation we set up now will utilize our EMC. Anything we send back in can now all be funneled through our applied energistics system, or if you're using refined storage, it can work with that. If you're still using a lectern from ours and you're automating with that, it can do that as well. Like all of these storage mods will interface with this beautiful transmutation interface. Oh, and did I mention you don't even have to use EMC links anymore after this point? However, if you do plan on using this as an item to directly pull things from, keep in mind you are going to have to filter your pipes to the item that you actually want to pull out of here. Just something to kind of note. Now that in itself is a huge thing for today's episode. Getting access to that is fantastic, but I tell you what, I don't think it's as exciting as what we're about to dive into, as I have a plan for RFTools, but not just RFTools. No. I have a plan for power, thermal, industrial foregoing, and Mekanism. And it's all going to involve these giant portals that I set up. And yes, if you've put 2 and 2 together, you may have already figured out what I'm going to do. Let's turn the lights on. Yes. I am going to be building custom dimensions for each and every one of those mods. And in each one of those dimensions are going to contain each individual mod and all of the automations that we are going to potentially need to set up and get going. And so yes, I sort of have a plan here. I have a plan and sort of a theme built out for all of these individual components. So in my bag here, I have some custom dimensions. Now, one of these dimensions are very particular. And that is going to be the dimension that is going to be for Mekanism. Because in the Mekanism dimension, it is best to have that dimension set up, and so that way it is eternal day in that dimension. And that's a pretty costly dimlet to make. I'm going to show you. Right in here is the dimlet. It costs a rare memory module and a rare energy module, and it requires all of these dimensional essences. And you also need a time dimlet. And there's only, I believe, 2 different times. There is a day you can craft and a night you can craft, as far as I know. And I think there's a normal one. We may not have the research for it. But I just want the day. And so I just want it to be set to a constant day. And so all of these things in place here, with this particular layout and pattern, I should be able to create this dimlet, or so I would hope. I may be missing something. Oh, I always do this. These are just backwards. So now with the day selected, I should be able to craft it now. I have a time dimlet. Oh, it's actually telling me, yeah, these should be in the correct spot and the correct amounts. Create. I don't know. This should craft, but I'm something's definitely off. Dimensional shard, day, selected, create. It shouldn't even show up in here if I don't have the knowledge for it. Now, something else I noticed is it does show that I need a piece of glowstone, so maybe I need to have glowstone in here or somewhere. Maybe it needs to be in this slot. Oh. Needs to be glowstone in that slot, apparently. But there we go. So now I have the time dimlet. So I guess I didn't really need to get any more research started. Kind of a weird mechanic. There's a lot of, like, I don't know, interesting mechanics that you kind of have to figure out with the RFTools dimension. But now that I have that component, I think I have, for the most part, a dimension that is set up that is going to be kind of a template here. I have a time of day that is eternal day. This is for the Mekanism one. And it's going to be structures of none. We can go ahead and get this placed in here, I think, and they will stay. So let's go ahead and get our time first and foremost. And then we will do the biome, which is going to be plains in this particular case. I want no structures. And I want the sky to be a nebula. I think that will work. I actually don't know. We can always break this down and regenerate a new dimension. But I want my features to be none, and I want my dimension here to be a void. So I want my Mekanism dimension to be a void dimension, and I want there to be no features, just kind of a blank, void, always day canvas. And I thought that would be a really cool idea. And most of these dimlets were ones that were just farmed from our Enderman farm. So I guess without further ado, we should go ahead and get this crafted up. Now, this is going to be the Mekanism dimension, and all of these things together, I hope, generate a good dimension. Now, I can go through and I can delete prior dimensions, and I can also regenerate by adding a digital dimlet in here to kind of reset the ID. So if we don't get a good one on the first try, there's always the next try and the next try and the next try. But I gotta go ahead and get the Mekanism in here. So Mekanism, and I'm gonna store this dimlet. It should be good. And hopefully we don't have anything wonky or crazy in this. Now I have a couple of dimension builders because we are going to have 4 dimensions up and running. And so I'm going to put that in here, and let's hope that this dimension loads in and is very nice. I have high hopes for this void dimension. Oh man. And there shouldn't be too much for it to actually load in. So it should be pretty quick. And there we go, 100%. And so now I just simply need to dial to my Mekanism dimension. And I don't think I have to interrupt. I'm going to actually interrupt that one. Now I'm going to redial. There we go. And now whenever we head here, we should, I say should, because of course I'm clueless to what's in here. We should be in the dimension that is the void dimension. Please be good. Okay, so we still have some structures that spawn apparently. It looks like mine shafts are spawning and these structures are spawning, but it is a void dimension. And is it eternal day? I mean, that's a day and that's a day. And it doesn't look like it's moving at all. Like the corner of my cursor is right here. And I'm not touching it anymore. Oh, and it is moving. No, it's not moving at all. Okay. So I will take that as this is the current position of the sun, and it will not change. I have no idea what Nebula did, but it doesn't look like it really did anything. So here we go. We have a sky, a void, and I think if I go high enough, we won't really have to worry about seeing any of these things down here. So we can do this above cloud height, and I think that would be a really cool sort of kind of setup here. So I tried to get this like right there. Oh yeah, this is like perfect, right in the cloud, or one block technically above the cloud. And I use an angel block to place this in place. And this is going to be, I think, a nice fresh sort of base for Mekanism. Like this is going to be where we do Mekanism in an eternal day dimension. And now because we're going to be using these Ars portals, I'm going to go ahead and in the north face direction, shift right click and set our spawn location. And this is where we're going to spawn back in our Mekanism world. Now, just when you think I've done, I'm not. We have all of these other dimensions to do, and these are going to have normal time. I'm going to have the sky be default. We're going to have blocks of netherite that modify an island's terrain. And by the way, we found this block of netherite. This was located inside of one of the chests while exploring an RFTools Dimension that we found during that episode. But I'm setting this to warm, and this is actually going to be our Industrial Foregoing world. And the reason I want it to be a warm ocean, it's kind of cool because this biome is associated with Industrial Foregoing for its marine fissure. Allowing us to get special drops, I do believe, from that very particular type of biome. So this is going to work out very nice. And it's going to go in this order, so that way our block dimlet hopefully modifies our terrain. I think if we have this another way, notice we get an error. So we want the block of netherite. Now this is going to be expensive. This is going to cost a lot of power to actually keep up and running. So with that, this one's going to be called Industrial. I'm actually going to just call it IF. For Industrial Foregoing. I love how it's if, but yes, IF dimension. And let's go ahead and realize this, and everything else should be fine. It is just an island's terrain, so we shouldn't have any water or anything. I unfortunately don't have a feature none, but I would love to have another feature none. That would have been kind of nice, but I don't have it researched, I think. So hopefully we don't get anything crazy in this, especially related to features, as that can all kind of be random. But here we go. Let's let that generate. Notice, by the way, the creation cost here is 2,500, but the maintenance cost is 1,555 RF per tick. So yes, it does cost several, but it does say ticks cost 600. Oh, that must have been while it was generating. But yes. Oh man, it's actually 1,577 RF per tick. But there we go. The dimension's realized and powering up. So we can go over here and we should be able to check if dial, and now let's see what that dimension is going to be like. I did go ahead and rename these. All right, this could be absolute chaos. Oh, interesting. It is inside of a cave, and if we have no night vision, it is incredibly dark here, but this is all built with blocks of netherite. You know what? I am going to go through here and farm a bunch of these guys while I'm here, but I'm definitely rebuilding this. And something, by the way, that I did fix in the latest update, these guys right here actually have the health that they were supposed to have in the first place, because I did additionally modify their health. This is very interesting. I wonder, oh no, this does have skies up here, so we might actually stay in this dimension. Oh, wow. Okay, so no, this is absolutely gorgeous. It just depends. I guess we have normal terrain and we just happen to be in a desert. So we can really find, I think, any biome. This is a sunflower plains. This is the warm ocean here. I mean, that's where I want to be, is in a warm ocean. It is kind of ironic that we would have a warm ocean in what is a desert area. I find that kind of funny. Now, I haven't fully tested this out, but supposedly you're supposed to be able to put, for example, this realized dimension card in here and then delete it with TNT. And what this is going to do is it's going to destroy that dimension. I didn't really care for it too much, but it should keep our realized dimension tab in here. It's just actually deleting it without you needing to use a command. So yeah, it's essentially deleting the folder in the Minecraft, the Minecraft folder in your saves. So I guess I'm just really hoping it doesn't actually delete the dimension itself or the card, because I do want to pull those dimlets back out to retry this dimension. And there we go. Okay, so that essentially deletes it. And so now we can extract. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a digital dimlet, and we are going to add another number to it. That's really all we have to do, is add one of those digits, and it can be any number. So for example, we have a 5 or a 0. Let's just add a 0 to that. And if, we should be able to store a new if name, because if should no longer exist. So notice there is no if in here anymore because if is now gone. So we can actually rename this one if, and because it has that new digital dimlet in there, it is actually a different terrain generation, or should be. So now heading into this if dimension. Okay, it actually generated exactly the same. And I wonder if that has anything to do with the digital dimlet being set to 0 and it defaulted to 0 originally. So for this, I'm definitely going to modify this a little bit. So I'm going to keep what it was at, but I'm going to add tendrils into this. And those tendrils are going to be made of iron blocks. And this is still the same one for Industrial Foregoing. So I'm going to call this like if, I'm going to say 3. This is like my 3rd or 4th time trying to store this. For some reason, it won't let me store on 3. Okay, we have to keep the numbers together, no spaces. All right, so I'm going to store this one. This did modify some new things. We have tendrils and all kinds of other stuff. So I should be able to let that generate in, and that should hopefully work. Now, also while I was doing this, I was thinking, I was looking through my dimlets, and I have a crude oil dimlet, and I was like, oh, that is actually perfect to put in to the thermal world. So now this dimension looks pretty darn cool. So in the warm ocean areas, there's sand, and then we have cold ocean. So we have a checkerboard of cold ocean and warm ocean in this, which I think is honestly kind of neat. And I want to build, I think, right here. So this is actually going to be the location for this place. Yeah, this is going to be perfect. And we have tendrils of blocks of iron and all of those netherite blocks. So this is kind of a 2-in-1 in this particular dimension. But with that, we now have Industrial Foregoing. I want to check my chunk bounds. I want to find somewhat center. This seems like the best bet right here. And bam, now we have it set. By the way, F3G to show your chunk borders. Now for the thermal dimension, this one's also very specific. We have a normal time, we have sky. I'm using oxidized copper because I really love the look of that world, which is going to be a sky grid. Which may honestly be kind of a problem, but I kind of want to see what this looks like. I may change this dimlet, but it's going to be in a river biome, and that's very specific, so that way we can use the junk fisher, even though I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal since we have EMC, but still would be cool to make sure it's a river biome. And then I want the dimlet to have crude oil in it, and the feature dimlet that is going to be crude oil is going to be cubes. This could be kind of interesting and kind of laggy. I honestly have no idea, but nothing to it but to do it, so we might as well put it in here and ship it. So time to thermal. Oh boy, I'm so excited. Every time I jump into these, it's so cool to see what actually gets generated in these places. For example, these are cubes, and this is a sky grid, and it's kind of ridiculous, but this should be a cube, and inside here should be oil. I say should be, but it doesn't appear like there's oil in here. So where is the oil? So I did go ahead and delete that world, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if I can get crude oil to just generate inside of a normal world. So everything's going to be normal, other than everything's going to be a river biome. And so we should also have oxidized copper inside of this area as well. I think that will also work. So it's going to be a part of it somewhere. Actually, I'm going to take the oxidized copper out. Let's just let it generate like this with the hope of crude oil being in this dimension. Okay, so this will be thermal. Take 2. Perfect. And we'll store that and we'll realize it. Now this is more like it. And this is honestly kind of crazy. Okay, so we have a regular water that is encased here. This is definitely crude oil from thermal, which is kind of cool. And there's in cities in here. I like this. Oh, and we even got a dimension? No way. Outside the inn that has the fallen stars in it. Oh, this is so cool. So this is also a river biome. This has so many quirks to it. This is kind of a ridiculous biome, and I'm kind of digging it. Yep, the only thing I don't like is these are actually silverfish eggs. But they are hollow on the inside. Very interesting. You know what? I think living in one of these cubes would be kind of cool. Yeah, even if it is filled with silverfish. And I just called this a cube, didn't I? Where's my brain? So yeah, I think the center of this dome is going to be a great like starting point to the thermal build. Oh, it's going to be so good. Well, time to save the location here. Now this one's for Paula, and this is going to be a little bit interesting. We have stars with a normal day cycle, and then we have blocks of iron, and it's going to be chaotic. And I have no idea what to expect from this, but we are going to see what this gives us. I could do actually structures none and see if that works. As we've seen before, it only works with some structures. So let's go ahead and store that. And let's see what our Paua dimension. That's right, because I do want a dimension just dedicated to a place for Paua. And I think that would be really cool. That's like our major automation mods right there. Oh boy, please be good. There's no coming back from this. Well, I guess there is. So the chaos has turned into not so bad. Oh, this wasn't iron. This was like blocks of raw iron. Oh, we're in a cold ocean biome. Oh, okay. So the terrain looks like the sky vault version, the sky version. I might actually switch this to a grid. So I've kind of changed my mind on this. I think I'm going to go time, sky, block dimlet, black concrete, which I think would look kind of cool in the grid terrain, and then try and have no structures. So we'll see what this looks like. Hopefully. Let's put this in. Let that load up. Should load up pretty quick because it is just a sky grid. So there's not a whole lot, hopefully, there. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like. All right. So I did rename it. I did find that like renaming these is something you definitely have to do, even if you delete the dimension. All right. Oh, interesting. So I'm noticing the grid has like two different kind of levels here. We have this, and then we also have this level, and it is like based off of the normal terrain, with the vertical being what is the concrete. But we got tendrils of white wool as a feature. I mean, honestly, not mad about it. And I could definitely modify these real quick to make them all black, like black concrete that's around. I think that would actually be kind of nice, and kind of figuring out like where we want this to be. Because like we could go down here, and now all of our lower area is now dark from the Y level. But you know what? I might actually have this done up here. I think this would look kind of cool with this being down at the bottom. I don't know. I feel like this is actually pretty decent, and I'm going to keep it. Now, I think right down here is perfect. Oh, this is honestly kind of beautiful and is going to fit perfect with the Paua mod. Of course, what is actually going to make this perfect is all of the builds that I'm going to try my best to do for each of these areas. Now, of course, just like all the other areas, boop, there we go. Now we have the scrolls set up for Paua, and now we have all 4 mods ready to go. Now I need to get these turned into stabilized warp scrolls, so I just get these all converted. And now, interesting, it did remove the names of these, but thankfully once they're turned into a stabilized version, we can teleport to them, and it doesn't actually consume the scroll. And it does tell me what the dimension name is. So I actually don't even need to travel there. That's very nice. So now I should be able to activate these portals. So I'm going to toss this in, the first one being Mekanism. That portal is now created, and I think, yeah, I definitely like using the wand to turn these, and I am going to change the frame block to something different. This one is going to be Paua. I should be able to toss that in. Oh, this is, I love this. I love these portals. I love mods that add ways to generate cool portals, and this is one of them. Okay, and then thermal. Beautiful. And you can go back and forth, by the way. So if you do like these nether themes, like honestly, that is kind of cool looking. I don't know. We may do like one like it. I don't know. I do like it being bright too, because it honestly kind of fits the room a lot better. Oh man, it's so good. All right. And then last but not least, Industrial Foregoing. And there we go. So that should all carry us into those dimensions. And just look at those. Oh man. And then with the lights off, oh, it's just so nice. Now the back portals, I'm not going to worry about just yet. Not, of course, until I get those dimensions built and till we start to actually get sort of what the portal is going to look like in that dimension. But I do want to have a portal that goes back and forth to kind of keep parity with this area. Now my goals for this are sort of as follows. Each one of these dimensions, I'm going to spend some time on each episode moving forward. And we are going to be diving into tons of different automations for those mods. However, Mekanism is going to be one of those mods that we're going to have to spend a bit more time on, just due to how much is actually in there and how much we're actually going to need to get set up for that, including the fission reactor. But today was a big part of that setup, because getting that eternal day dimension is incredibly important for making sure we can produce a ton of antimatter into the future. Of course, without getting a creative chemical tank, which is down the road. But until then, we should have plenty of stuff. And by God, that's so beautiful. Oh, the colors. Oh, I just want portals around the base just for decoration. And these are fantastic for it. But anyways, I'm kind of getting distracted. It is honestly so good looking. I'm just getting distracted in here. But like I said, each one of those rooms, we're going to work on different mods and we're going to get them built out throughout the episodes. And I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And of course, if you are looking forward to that, be sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on those episodes, those juicy episodes that'll be coming out in the future, full of building tips and all kinds of other cool things. Oh man, if you guys, like I said, did enjoy, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment down below, what do you think about this portal room? Do you love it? Do you hate it? I would love to hear from you either way. And of course, guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Bear. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support in choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible by choosing to become a premium member over on the Discord. Thank you so very much. And to all of you who do support me over there and gain access to either the servers or the world downloads, I thank you so very much. And you as a viewer, I thank you the most. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I can't say it enough. As always, thanks for watching. Bye!